Well, so much has been happening to Abba Kyari, celebrity call, who has been in the correctional center since he was nabbed by the NDLA. Prison officials are considering moving suspended police officer Abba Kyari to the custody of the State Security Service, SSS, from the Kuje prison after he nearly got murdered by aggrieved inmates who accused him of insincerity in bribe for release deals when he was in active service. Thank you very much for joining us. This is Serious Matters on ONIF TV. This is just a way of bringing you updates on cases and situations that we have discussed right here on the show. Well, according to internal documents and official access by us, the attack happened on May 4th, months after Mr. Kyari, who is on trial for drug-related offenses, was remanded. His attackers were about 190, and officials said, and they are mostly in prison for drug offenses. Well, we'll get to understand what's actually went. Because you recall that we did a video where Abba Kyari was raised an alarm that his life was in danger and that people are threatening his lives, and we came up to say, oh, what goes around comes around, and but now they have made a physical attempt on him to take his life. But then let's look at the things, because a lot of interesting things had happened since he got into prison. Now, Mr. Kyari, 47, a DP, Deputy Commissioner of Police, was a decorated cop and head of intelligence, elite intelligence response team of the Inspector General of Police before his fall. First, he was suspended from the police duty after being named last July by American investigators as an accomplice in the international fraud and money laundering scheme of Rahman Abbas, popularly called Osh Poppy. Then, while on suspension and awaiting the outcome of an internal probe, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLA, NDLA, in February accused him of involvement in a drug trafficking conspiracy. The agency released a video in which Mr. Kyari appeared to be describing his use of his team to push drugs and discussing sharing of criminal fortunes. He was charged to court in March and remanded in Kuje prison. Well, now look at what the prison, the inmates have accused him of. Now, the Kuje attackers claimed Mr. Kyari prosecuted them despite taking bribes from them. They are claiming that he took bribe from them, and this could even be used against him. This information that is coming out from even the prison or the correctional centers could even still be used against him, that he prosecuted them despite the fact that he took bribes from them. Our source said one of the sources, a state investigator and intelligence officer, described Mr. Kyari as a dodgy criminal. He said Mr. Kyari has not been convicted of any crime and has said he is innocent of the allegation for which he has been charged. Of course, every criminal suspect will first of all claim, not being guilty, except for those who know that, well, there's no point, beating about the bush. Now, quoting the inmates, our source said Mr. Kyari was eliminating smaller drug dealers to clear the field for Afam Ukwata, a suspected billionaire drug allegedly behind the 3 billion tramadol deal linked to Mr. Kyari. Of course, he has also been arrested. Inmates claim that upon arrest, Abba Kyari demanded bribes to kill the case, then still prosecuted them. A Kuje prison source who assessed the testimony of the aggrieved inmates said the spokesperson for the Nigeria Correctional Center Service, Francis Enobore, denied the attack on Kyari, but Premium Times confirmed the attack from officials with direct knowledge of it and the service's internal documents. Well, let's look at the settlements, what actually transpired now in prison after, these guys rose up to accuse him that he collected money from them and yet still sent them to jail. According to our sources, Mr. Kyari was rescued by officials and has since been kept in an isolated cell under heavy protection where no one sees him for fear of attack or poisoning. To buy his safety, Mr. Kyari had to pay each of the aggrieved inmates 200,000 naira in prison. And so that means he has access to his phones. That means he has access to money. And because I don't understand, somebody is in prison and he's still being able to pay. That means he has access to money. He has access to, as a law enforcement officer and involving in illicit activities. In April, the NDLA said they marked properties in Borno, Kano, Lagos, and Abuja linked to the disgraced officer. Well, still threatening to kill. Despite the settlement, the aggrieved inmates have continued to threaten Mr. Kyari's life, the source said. Regardless of the level of protection they vowed to get him, a source said the inmates have given him an ultimatum to return all he extorted from them or he be killed. Relevant officials have assessed that he will be killed or badly injured if he continues to be remanded in Kuje, if an action is not taken with respect to what is happening to him. Now, the SSS spokesperson, I beg your pardon. Now, if he's continuing to be kept in there. Now, an official recommendation has therefore been made that Mr. Kyari should be transferred out of Kuje to an SSS facility. Premium Times reports that to us. Thank you very much and credit to them. Now, the SSS spokesperson Peter Afunaya did not answer calls, nor did he reply to a text requesting his comment on this particular report. Meanwhile, prison sources describe Mr. Kyari's life in Kuje. So far, he has every relevant officer on his payroll. They do his guidance, he sees his wife, and he has access to mobile devices and marabouts, one source said. So what is the difference? What is the difference? He has relevant officers on his payroll. Money is still entering for him. He's not you see, we need to get things right in this country. Seriously. We've got to get things right. And the earlier, the better. The earlier, the better we do that. Well, this is serious matters, and I am leaving the platform for you to drop your comment. Make it simple and civil. Let's see what's your opinion on this particular matter. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think about this particular matter? Maybe they should just leave him there, but then they shouldn't leave him there because he's not been convicted. The case has not been finalized. They do not know. They've not been able to say, oh, he committed this crime or that. He's still a suspect as far as the law is concerned. But then do please drop your comment. Make it simple and civil.